Indiana football just gave Curt Cignetti another contract extension, this time making him a top 3 paid coach in the country. But was that the smart thing to do?
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day and the nation's #1 sports podcasting network. So thank you so much for making that so. I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail, wins that define the moment, putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Well, a loaded show for you on this Monday. Is Indiana basketball in trouble? They got embarrassed on Friday night against Purdue. We'll talk about that, plus what the Hoosiers have coming up down the stretch and where they sit in the latest bracketologies for the NCAA tournament, plus some concern that Fernando Mendoza, the projected #1 overall pick, is not going to be throwing at this week's NFL draft. We'll tell you why, and it's pretty awesome on his reasoning for not doing so. But we begin today's show with another piece of news, one that has come across our timeline several times in the past 2 years or so. Curt Cignetti has received another contract extension by the Indiana Hoosiers. He is now locked down and set in stone until the year 2033, which sounds like a long ways away, but then you start looking, it's like, all right, well, we're almost through the second month of 2026, and then you start doing the math, like, that is a long time. It's not overly long, but it is kind of like, wow, that's another 7 years, right? And he's already claimed, Curt Cignetti has, that this is where he wants to be. He wants to retire as the head coach of Indiana. So the Hoosiers said, cool, here's another contract extension, right? We gave you one in the middle of the season. Here's another one as well. This one now makes him the 3rd highest paid coach in all of college football. He joins Kirby Smart at Georgia and Lane Kiffin at LSU. But that's not exactly how this went down. If you start reading into the details a little bit, this was a contract extension that Indiana had no choice to do. This was written in the previous extension that if Indiana was one of the last 4 teams remaining, meaning they got to the college football playoff semifinals, they had this extension built in to the last contract to where he would get paid more money. Curt Cignetti, with the new extension, okay, he is now locked down through the 2033 season. He will be making over $13 million a year to be the head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers football program, which you sit back and think about that for a second. Dude, that's a lot of money, man. What the jump that we have taken, right, in head coaches making money. I remember when a coach signing a $5 or $6 million deal per year was like, whoa, that is a ton of money. That's insane. I also remember when coordinators were making $500,000, not $3 and $4 million a year, right? So the salaries have just gone absolutely haywire here. And that's not my point that I want to make today. I've seen some people asking the question, okay, was this smart for Indiana to do this? Was this a good idea to extend Cignetti again? Well, you put it in the contract where you had no choice, and Cignetti and his agent are just freaking geniuses. So was this the right thing to do? Was this smart for Indiana to make him a top 3 paid coach in the country and have him locked down through the 2033 season? Absolutely, it was the right decision. It was absolutely the smart thing to do. Are you freaking kidding me? He just won you a national championship. He's got Indiana atop of the college football world. Of course, it was the right thing to do. And we can sit here and debate all day, okay, about if the money is worth it and if we could have gotten him for less or if we could use that money somewhere else. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Pay the man $100 million a year if that's what it takes, because Indiana is it right now. You just won a national championship. You just produced a Heisman Trophy winner, and you're about to produce the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. We're going to talk about Fernando here in just a minute. This was worth it. This was smart by Indiana, because there were also some people who said that this extension was because of the NFL rumor starting to swirl back up, and that's not really the case. Those two things in this instance were not connected. The middle of the season extension that he got was absolutely because other jobs were opening up and they were coming a calling. Penn State being the big one, right? That's the job that opened up when the Nittany Lions fired James Franklin and they came a calling, and Indiana said, not so fast, my friend. He ain't leaving Bloomington. And Curt Cignetti has claimed again, he doesn't want to leave Bloomington. He likes it here. He has built something here in just 2 years. So this was absolutely the right decision for Indiana. And again, how smart is that for Curt Cignetti and his agent and his team to build these, I guess, milestones is a good word to use in his contract, to where Indiana didn't have a choice. They had to give this to him, but I'm sure they were happy to do so. Are they happy paying $13 million a year? I don't know. Behind closed doors, man, that's a lot of freaking money. Again, you're up there with Lane Kiffin and Kirby Smart, which I think that's too much money for Lane Kiffin, but it is what it is. Kirby Smart's a national championship winning coach, and so is Curt Cignetti. Is Lane Kiffin? Don't think so. But I think this was a great move by Indiana. And now you've got a marriage that is together for until 2033. Dude, that's a long time. And Indiana has never been this good. They may never be this good again once Curt Cignetti does eventually hang it up and retire. But Indiana has their coach. Now it's time to keep your coordinators and continue rolling through high school recruiting, transfer portal. And as long as Indiana is making money, right, the athletics department continues to make enough money to afford Curt Cignetti, Brian Haynes, Mike Shanahan, all the assistant coaches, all the players on the roster too, and you continue to make upgrades around you, right, to Memorial Stadium and to the facilities and things like that, Indiana's in a very, very good spot. And let's just be honest, the Hoosiers would not have agreed to all of these details in the previous extensions that basically jump-started or kick-started this one in particular. They would not have agreed to it if they couldn't afford it. Because I don't think anybody in Indiana agreed to this and said, yeah, you make the Final Four in year 2? Sure, buddy. We'll give you an extension. Sure. I don't think it was like that. I think it was, hell yeah, if you get us to the college football playoff semifinals, we'll absolutely pay you. And they did. And he did. And everybody seems to be happy. So this was a no-brainer home run decision for Indiana. Curt Cignetti's not leaving. Curt Cignetti's happy. And Indiana's going to be atop of the college football world as long as he is the head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. So big news there for Indiana football. Some other news, though, surrounding the Hoosiers that doesn't involve or impact any current team in Indiana, but it's our Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza, who says he's not throwing at the NFL Combine this week. He's got a good reason, and we tell you why coming up next. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, the skills, the experience, and the location. So you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the about 60 seconds or so that I'm talking to you right now, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching for all these people and more time interviewing candidates who can check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this very show, Locked On Hoosiers, you're going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying that you heard about it here on Locked On Hoosiers about the Indeed sponsored job listings, okay? Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. And hey, reminder, if you have not signed up for our Everydayer Club, you need to do so, okay? It's $5 a month, Locked On Hoosiers Everydayer Club. You're going to get this show's audio version ad-free every single day. So that in itself is worth a $5 bill to me, but you're going to get it ad-free. Plus, you're going to get access to our Discord server for Locked On Hoosiers, all the other Locked On shows as well. Just a big group chat, people having conversations about recruiting and coaching searches and seasons, right? We're just talking everything in those chats, so be sure you check that out. Plus, you're going to get some cool access to merch sites as well from Locked On. So all of that for $5 a month. Visit lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer to get started. Let's talk some more Indiana football, as some news came out, I guess late last week, right, that Fernando Mendoza, Indiana's Heisman Trophy winner, projected number 1 overall pick. And look, I've looked at about 30 different mock drafts across the internet. There's not one that says Fernando's not going number 1 overall. And that's awesome. That's very cool. I think there's a little bit of concern for me that everybody's just on this, right? Everybody's convinced that this is the right decision. I think Fernando has all the tools to be successful. It's just that, like, it's so consensusly him that it's a little worrisome for me, but maybe that's just me being a nervous Nelly. But there was some news that came out last week that Fernando Mendoza will not be throwing at the NFL Combine, which it starts this week, right? And it's in Indianapolis. Well, that was hard to say. It's in Indianapolis. Starts on Thursday at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is super cool because it's literally right here in our backyard. And this is obviously the opportunity for players to show up and show their skills, right? Whether you're a quarterback throwing the football, receiver running routes, running back hitting the hole, whatever the case may be, right? This is your big opportunity to show NFL scouts and GMs, this is what I've got, this is what I can do, this is why you should draft me. And Indiana's got a handful of guys that are going to be here and a handful of guys that are not going to be here. We talked about that on a previous episode, but the news is that Fernando Mendoza will not be throwing at the NFL Combine. And this had some people up in arms, like a little bit concerned. Why is he not throwing? Why would he not do that? He's the number 1 overall pick. Shouldn't he prove that? Shouldn't he want the opportunity to maybe prove some of the doubters wrong, that he really is the number 1 pick? But his reasoning is so freaking cool, man. And this is why Fernando Mendoza is just such a good dude. He's so much more than a good football player, a great football player, right? He's not throwing at the Combine because he wants to save it for Indiana's Pro Day, which will happen, of course, on campus here in Bloomington. It's going to take place on April 1st. He's saving it to throw at Indiana's Pro Day, which is the same idea as the Combine. It's just more so in-house, where you can invite people to come in, right? Scouts and things like that, and they can show up if they want to. Fernando is waiting until the Pro Day at Indiana so he can throw to his receivers, so he can show them off, so he can help them boost their draft stock. How cool is that? How awesome is that? That just encompasses what Fernando Mendoza is as a person, as a man, and as an Indiana Hoosier. Like, that is just so cool to me, where he said, I'm not throwing on the biggest stage because I don't need it. I don't want it. I would rather save it and help my guys get drafted higher into better places as well. That's really cool to me. And let's be real. There is a world here, and I guess a reality here, and a truth here. Fernando doesn't need to throw at all. I think we could just admit that right now. Again, he's the consensus number 1 overall pick. You cannot find a mock draft online that says he's not the number 1 overall pick. So he could opt to say, I'm good. I don't need to do anything. You've seen it. You know what I am. You know what I've got. You can draft me number 1 overall, Oakland, or Las Vegas. Jeez, that was a flash from the past. Raiders can take me number 1 overall, and you know what you're getting in the full package of Fernando Mendoza. But he had the opportunity to go out one more time on the biggest stage, right? It's on TV and all that. He said, nah, I'm good. I'll throw to my guys. I'm going to throw to Elijah Surratt, E.J. Williams, Omar Cooper, Riley Nowakowski, Holden Stays. And the running backs will be there as well with Kalen Black and Roman Hemby. He said, I'm going to help my guys and boost their stock. And his quote was when he went on, I think the Pat McAfee show, it was on ESPN somewhere. He says, at the combine, you're throwing to different receivers. It's a whole different thing. He says, I want to make sure I give my guys the best chance. I want to throw at pro day with my guys, with my running backs to be there with the boys. I mean, you can't make it up, dude. Fernando is just that dude. He is one of the guys. He is an A-plus teammate, an A-plus football player, and one that you want on your team, man. Again, we have no idea what Fernando's NFL longevity looks like, what his career will be, but this is the dude you want in your locker room. And so very excited to see what he looks like at pro day, how he is able to elevate the draft stock of some of the guys around him, because as crazy as it sounds, right, guys like Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper not getting a ton of love in some of these mock drafts, and those guys are just all over the place. Some people have them late first round, early second round, late second round, undrafted. I mean, it's crazy with the receivers. Running back's kind of the same way too, but he'll be able to dump it down and throw off to some of those guys, to Roman Hemby and Kalen Black, who I think are both good receiving running backs, right? We saw that this past season at Indiana, Roman Hemby in particular, and he gets the opportunity to show them. I think Riley Nowakowski has a chance to boost his draft stock here and make a team very happy. His catches on film are limited, but his play is awesome. He is so disciplined. He catches it when you throw it to him. And that little tight end slip screen, man, some NFL team's going to steal that play call, because that was, I think, 100% success rate for Indiana. I think I can remember one that didn't work, but other than that, man, that was a cheat code for Indiana this season. So again, it's just another example for a guy in Fernando Mendoza that owes nothing else to Indiana. Nothing. He could run off into the sunset, be totally fine, say, thank you so much, IU, I appreciate it, but I'm going to go do what I need to do to prepare for the NFL. But he's not going to do that. He's coming back, throwing to his guys, making sure they get the love and the exposure that they deserve. And low-key, it helps him too. He admitted it. He said, yeah, in the combine, you're throwing to random dudes, throwing to guys you never thrown to before, which I understand. Football is just step back, throw it, and put it on his hands. But, man, having the timing, having the relationship, the communication, the understanding of each other, that means so much. That's why you see teams play better in week 11 than they do in week 1. That's why there's different success rates at that point, right? Fernando, this will help him too, but it's not about him. He's clearly making this about his teammates, and you just can't overstate how cool that is from Fernando Mendoza. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to bring that up because, again, some people were like, why is he not throwing? Why is he, whatever. Like, Fernando, do what you want to do, brother. Don't let other people impact what you want or don't want to do. And again, I just thought that was super, super cool from him. There's no surprise here, right? This is not shocking to anybody that Fernando is doing it for his teammates and not for himself. And I think it's really cool. So again, that's going to be on April 1st, right? Indiana's pro day in Bloomington at IU. But Fernando will not be throwing in this week's NFL Combine. It is what it is. He's going to be just fine and still projected to be the #1 overall pick. So that's enough of football. Our last segment on today's show, when we come back, is Indiana basketball in trouble? They got embarrassed, blown out, routed by Purdue on Friday night. Couple of big games coming up for the Hoosiers to try and get back on track. We talk about that in the last segment of the show right after this. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Mazda's, moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. And I can't lie, this one was tough today. This is a tough one to do this week since Indiana's lost back-to-back games. You lost to Illinois, who lost to UCLA this weekend. What the heck is going on? Then we went on the road to Purdue on Friday night, and it was not pretty. And normally, you would look at the box score, right, and say, oh, yeah, it's Lamar Wilkerson. Had 20 points, had a couple rebounds in there, only had a couple of turnovers. Like, Lamar Wilkerson has to be the guy that moved the game forward, right? Well, it took him 30 minutes to get going, and Indiana just had nothing in the tank. But it's really hard not to pick him because nobody else did enough for you. I think Tatum Conaway is my guy, though. And I talked about him on the live show. I think he is our moving the game forward this week. 12 points off the bench, 7 assists as well. Did have 3 turnovers, but his shooting numbers were very impressive. So he was the one, okay, that really raised the bar. It's the extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it the extra fire, the grit, and the I never quit. We put that same passion into every model at Mazda. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. If you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person, I have. FanDuel, I have wanted to experience it. I have not actually experienced it. But FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. All right, use your NBA profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience on FanDuel. So if there's a team that you like, you think they're going to make a run, you think they're going to get hot and win it all, place that profit boost on that NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered into your chance to win this thing. So you can get the payout if they win. You can also be there to watch it if they win, and it's going to be all on FanDuel, okay? So visit FanDuel.com right now to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, final segment on today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here, supporting the show, however you do, whether you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on your audio podcasting platform, on social media as well, at Locked On Hoosiers on X. However you find us and support us, thank you so much. And if you haven't done those things, be sure you do. It helps us out. Drop your thoughts in the YouTube comments as well. However you engage and support, really, really do appreciate you and everything you do for Locked On Hoosiers. So we're asking the question today, new week, new opportunities, right, for Indiana basketball. Are the Hoosiers in trouble? Are Darian DeVries and his squad, are they in trouble? Because I hope you've done this, because I'm really trying to just block out what happened Friday night at West Lafayette. That was really, really bad. Like, that was not good at all. And I made the statement and the claim, and several people have disagreed with it, and that's fine. That's what makes what we do so cool. We can all have different opinions. I said that performance was not true to this team. I said that we are better than what we put on the floor Friday night. Are we better than Purdue? No, we're not. In 10 games, neutral site, we win 2 or 3 maybe, okay? We won the one at our house, our place, because Purdue did not play well. We played good enough, and we got the win. Right? But I think we're better than a dang near 30-point blowout that we had to experience on Friday. And now my concern with this Indiana team is, are we in trouble? And I think we're in trouble for several reasons. One, I think we're in trouble of missing the NCAA tournament, right? I think we're in a bad situation on a 2-game losing streak, 2 tough losses, right, against top 10 teams on the road. Nobody expected us to win those games. It's just unfortunate that you got routed in both of them. You lost by 20 to Illinois, again, who lost to UCLA this weekend, so that doesn't help us at all. And then you got beat like a drum to Purdue by 29 points. So not really what we're looking for, and we don't need that to be put in the front of the committee, right? The tournament committee hopefully has better things to do than worry about what Indiana's been up to the last week. And we can just move on from what was a horrific week of basketball. But here's the thing, and I've continued to stress this to you on this show, that Indiana has opportunities left. You have opportunities. You've got 2 of them, in fact. 2 opportunities to boost your resume one more time, prove that you belong in the NCAA tournament, and give them a reason to put you in. It's not on Tuesday when Northwestern comes to town. That's a game that you have to win just for pride, just because you want to, just for the love of the game, because Northwestern is terrible. They are 3-13 in Big Ten play. They're 11-16 overall on the season. They're bad, but they did just beat Maryland by 4, 78-74. They've beat USC, which Indiana couldn't do, Penn State, and Maryland. So You can take that for what it is. They lost to everybody pretty much that they played. They're just not a good basketball team. So you win this one, nobody cares. You lose it, and you're probably out of the tournament. And that's how Indiana needs to treat this game on tomorrow. But then you've got Michigan State. Here come the Spartans on Sunday afternoon inside of Assembly Hall. Now, I don't know where they'll be in the latest AP poll, right? As of this recording, that has not come out yet. But they split games this week. They lost to Wisconsin, and then they turn around and beat UCLA. They will still be probably a top 20 team on your home floor. Guess what? That's a quad one game. That's a tournament resume building game. And Indiana needs it, dude. We're top 40 in the net, but our quad one record sucks. We're 2-10. 2-10 in quad one games. And I've told you how the committee rolls. They don't care about your record in those games. They just want you to play a lot of them. Indiana's done that, but that record is terrible. And I think the committee will probably take that into consideration, because my statement of they don't care what your record is in quad one, that goes if you're like 4-8, right? 4-8 in quad one is fine. That's good in the eyes of the committee. But 2-10, you're 2-10 against tournament quality teams. That's not what they're looking for. They want teams that'll get to the tournament and be competitive in whatever game and situation that they put them in. And Indiana has not proven that they can be that as of late. So tomorrow means nothing in terms of a win, but it's just detrimental if you lose it. Michigan State on your home floor is everything. Your season could be turned around with that win. The home game against Minnesota, same thing as Northwestern. Means nothing. They're terrible. Get it back, beat that team, and move on. 3 games at home in a row. Got to take advantage. And then you go on the road to Ohio State. And we've talked about this game. We've talked about this moment, okay? They played Michigan State yesterday on the road. They've got Iowa, Purdue, Penn State, and Indiana. So Ohio State is staring down the same barrel you are of having opportunities on their schedule as a bubble team to make the NCAA tournament. As of Friday, Indiana was a 9 seed. That was before you got blown out by Purdue. I don't think that will change a whole lot. You may get bumped down to a 10 or may get bumped down to that bubble, right? But as of Friday, Ohio State was one of the last 4 buys, okay? Meaning they were one of the last teams to not have to play in the play-in game. So they're right there on the bubble too, and Indiana's not far in front of them. So you've got opportunities. But I'm just hoping and begging and praying that Indiana doesn't meddle on what happened on Friday. Just throw it out, man. Burn the film. Don't even watch it. Come back home and reset. New season right now. 4-game season starts right now for Indiana. You go 4-0, you're easily in the tournament. You go 3-1, you're probably still in the tournament. You go 2-2, you're in trouble, because that means you either lost the 2 games that meant everything, or you lost to a team that you couldn't afford to lose to. That's not really where we want to be. 1-3, you're out. 0-4, you're out. That's pretty much the layout here for Indiana. You have a chance to do it. Lamar's got to keep playing well. Others got to help him out. And we're going to find out exactly what type of a coach Darian DeVries is coming down the stretch for this Indiana team, because I think we're tournament good. I do. I think we're good enough to be in the tournament. And my goodness, I just don't want the first year of Darian DeVries to have the stain of missing the tournament, because IU fans, we're crazy and we want to be there. We want to be in the dance. We should have been there last year. We need to be there this year. And I think this team is good enough to do it, but you got to take care of business coming down the stretch. So starts tomorrow with Northwestern at home. Again, the Michigan State coming in on Sunday. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you again so much for being here. Greatly appreciate you and your time and your support as always. We're having a ton of fun coming down the home stretch of the month of February, talking basketball, talking football, anything that's going on in the world of IU, we've got you covered right here on Locked On Hoosiers, okay? We are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.